Welcome to History 1302, the second half of United States history. My name is Mr. Covert, and I will be your instructor. In every chapter, I will talk about a person or event and give you fun facts about them. Some of these fun facts may be on your test or quizzes. If you have any questions, please contact me. And one thing you need to understand, these chapters will be broken down into 4 segments. The first segment is chapters 15 through 18. Second segment is 19 through 22. Third segment is chapters 23 to 26. And the final chapter segment is 27 through 29. Thank you for having me, and I hope you enjoy this semester. Chapter 15, we will be discussing conflict and conquest, the transformation of the West 1860 to 1900, natives and newcomers, economic transformation of the West, Native Americans under siege, and finally, resistance and romanticism of the Old West. The person we will be discussing in this chapter is John Chisholm. He would be born in Tennessee, and as a young man would be moved to Lamar County, Texas with his parents. He would become involved in raising cattle and would resign as Lamar County clerk and start raising cattle here. He would then move, for economic reasons, he needed the grass for his cattle, to the Denton area, later to the Pecos River area, and finally to New Mexico area. He would be loosely involved in the Lincoln County Wars and would know Billy the Kid. He would finally relocate to the Panhandle region of Texas. He would go to Eureka Springs, Arkansas for treatment of cancer and would die there. He is now buried in Paris, Texas, next to his parents. Wonder and Woe, the Rise of Industrial America, 1865 to 1900. We will discuss the emergence of big business, creating a mass market, world of work transformed, and finally conflicting visions of industrial capitalism. The person we will discuss in this chapter is Thomas Edison. He is one of the first inventors to apply the principles of mass production and large teamwork to the process of invention. He is often credited with the creation of the first industrial research laboratory. He is considered one of the most prolific inventors in history, holding 1,093 U.S. patents in his name. He did not invent the light bulb, but instead invented the first practical incandescent light. Ma'am Theater in now what is the Czech Republic was the first public building in the world to use Edison's electric lamps. Becoming a modern society is the beginning of Chapter 17, America in the Gilded Age, 1877 to 1900. We will discuss the rise of the cities, a search for solutions, new habits, roles, and lifestyles, and finally, the challenge from below. The person of interest in this chapter is William Jennings Bryan. He is called the Great Commoner, and he would speak at the 1896 Democratic Convention calling for the gold standard. This is called the Cross of Gold speech. He would run for the presidency of the United States 3 times, losing all 3 times. The capstone of his career was the Scopes trial of 1925. He was the Secretary of State under Woodrow Wilson, but would resign in protest in 1915. Chapter 18, Creating a Democratic Paradise, the Progressive Era, 1895 to 1915. We will discuss the progress impulse, reining in big business, competing views on transforming the workplace, protecting women and children, and finally reforming the government. One of the more interesting characters in United States history, and one of my personal favorites, is Theodore Roosevelt. We could go on for some time about his incredible life, but here are just a few facts. He was running the United States Department of Navy in 1898 when the Spanish-American War broke out. He was the Assistant Secretary of Navy. He would become the Lieutenant Colonel of a small regiment known as the Rough Riders, who were trained in San Antonio, Texas. He would later become their commanding officer. After the war, he would return to New York and was elected governor there. 2 years later, he would be nominated and elected Vice President of the United States. He was nominated for the Medal of Honor for his actions at San Juan Hill. And also don't forget that he actually stormed up Kettle Hill. His Medal of Honor would be awarded in 1990, and then he would become one of the 2 father-son teams to have won the Medal of Honor, as his son Theodore Roosevelt Jr. won it for his actions on D-Day. The other father-son team is Douglas MacArthur and Arthur MacArthur. And finally, after he was president, he went on an expedition to Brazil, and he explored the River of Doubt. For his actions, the name of the river would be changed to Rio Roosevelt, or sometimes called the Rio Theodoro. And this concludes segment 1 of History 1302.